You got rid of your headphones from last week?
I had to get now I look like I have headphone hair. Well, I told you I was in studio and I didn't want the feedback from the laptop mic because I was gonna go leave the studio, go film in my hotel room, but I had already filmed the show in my hotel room and it sounded and looked terrible. So I was like, okay, but then I also wasn't gonna walk back in the cold to go get the other mic. So the guy was like, here, just put on these headphones, it'll sound great. And then you made fun of me for looking stupid.
No, I don't think you looked stupid. It just made me laugh. A lot of things make me laugh. Do you want to talk? Well, my first talking point was I was going to ask you how your week was. I didn't like my week. So I thought, why don't you tell me about your week? How'd you do? Your bets? How you complained a lot?
Yeah, 2023 is in the past. I'm so glad that shitty year is gone. 2024, we have not lost a game yet. I'd like to keep it that way.
What'd you bet so far in 2024?
So far, I have Michigan and Washington and then 2 basketball plays that my buddies shared with me.
Yeah, well, I don't want to.
So I'm 4-0 in 24. I should just retire.
You want to recap the entire week. You just want to skip over the whole recap.
No, you asked how.
I mean, you didn't answer. You just talked about the games on Monday.
Yeah, because the game, like Sunday sucked really bad. Do you know what the Colts did to me? The Colts. Oh wait, you had the Colts too. Did you see what the Colts did to us?
So I'm in this football pool, NFL, and if you can believe it, I'm in first place. And if you can believe it, my lead is so big that if I don't win, it would be like embarrassing that I collapsed that badly. You know what I mean? Like I have such a cushion that it would be like sad if I didn't win. And I had Colts -3.5, and I had Bengals +7, and I lost both of those.
I lost both of those too.
Sunday was the most annoyed I've been in the entire. Probably the first time I was really annoyed in NFL
all year. That's the first time you've been annoyed all year
in the NFL.
That's right. I forgot you don't watch the game, so you don't.
I don't care about the NFL. I was actually annoyed the backdoor cover in the Raider game because you could just see the backdoor coming.
They kicked the field goal first and foremost.
No. God damn.
And then you knew it. And you're just like, oh, let's just play prevent defense, you gutless bastards.
But the hope is always that in that scenario that the Raiders would kick a field goal.
And then kick or
and then do the onside kick.
Yeah, I get that.
That's generally what happens.
But that's only what happens when I've got teams like the Raiders. That doesn't happen when I've got teams like the Colts. When I've got a team like the Raiders, they usually throw an interception or something equally is stupid. But when I've got the Colts, I knew exactly what was happening the last 3 minutes of that game.
Bengals +7. The book didn't do well on Sunday because our biggest needs were the Colts, the Bengals, and our biggest need was actually Miami. Miami got demolished by Baltimore, killed massively. Yeah, the only thing bad. I will say this, one good thing that came out of that game for us, we were in a very bad spot on Christian McCaffrey winning the MVP. I would have been very mad at certain people if Christian McCaffrey had been the MVP. Now Lamar Jackson is obviously going to be the NFL MVP.
Do you guys even have it up anymore?
No, and we're going to lose. We're going to lose on it, but we're not going to, we lose.
But isn't he like minus 10,000 or something?
Yeah, but we've been taking bets all the way.
Right.
We always lose on MVP and Heisman. We lose every year. Every year those guys lose on that. And they're going to lose again. But they're going to lose less than they would have lost on McCaffrey. That's a win. That is a win.
It's almost like a push.
No, it's worse.
I hate that thing, by the way.
Actually, Saturday was a crazy day because you had that Georgia game, the Orange Bowl, Georgia, Florida State. By the way, the other teams in the playoff should be thanking the committee for not including the best team, Georgia. So Georgia is the best team in college football. They're not in the playoff, even though they went 12-0.
Okay, tell me this. And I understand that let's call it 6 out of 10, maybe even 7 out of 10 times Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game, and we don't play best of 10 or even 2, right? It's one game. They weren't the best team in the SEC championship game that day. So it's kind of easy to say power ratings wise, X, Y, and Z. I mean, power ratings wise, we have been very low on Washington all year long. And power ratings wise, from a underdog standpoint, we'll get into it here in a minute, but that's where I kind of have to talk about it. When I asked you in the Pac-12 championship game, I said, John Murray, like, why are they getting so disrespected? And you're like, well, power ratings wise, Oregon's moved up more than anybody else. Why? That's what I don't understand sometimes. So from a handicapping perspective,
that was a bad.
We have.
Oregon,
I know,
but the funny thing is, you're talking about the Pac-12 championship game. We had some of our sharpest guys laying 9.5.
I understand that, but here's my problem with the guys.
About Washington.
There are guys that are pure numbers guys, right?
Yeah.
And I would say,
are you pure numbers?
No.
Guys,
I would say there's the math, there's the situations, and you have some trends or angles possibly to back it up. But hold on.
Is the math like the science, or can it be questioned?
No, math cannot be questioned.
Well, so it's like science. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. What?
So
what? Go ahead.
Here's my issue. I would say this year, more than any other year that I remember, was an eye test year.
Yeah.
That's why the public did very well. Teams that passed the eye test got their dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that always happens.
Well, yes, but the eye test doesn't always equate to on the field. Just because you saw a team what they did last doesn't mean it's going to replicate, right? Like, we used to love to bet against teams that, like, their quarterback just went off in the game prior. Like, oh, we're going to see some regression from this guy. That was an anomaly, right? And then he happens to go off again. And then the wise guys bet against him again the next week. I mean, there's a reason why the wise guys bet on teams like the Cleveland Browns in 2015 when they could not cover a game to save their lives, right? There's a reason why this year
that team was that team was fun. I think that was 2016. Hugh Jackson, Deshaun Kaiser. That was a fun team. They were funny.
But my point is at what point in time, from the SuperBook standpoint or any other bookmaking outfit in Las Vegas, do you not only rely on the math? Because you said that was a bad line, but then everybody agreed with you. Like you said, you took a lot of sharp action.
Quickly fixed it, though. You're talking about this team closed 3 against Texas in the Sugar Bowl.
Correct.
So it was changed within one game.
Right, but you told me that they were going to be 6 or 7 point underdogs in this national championship.
That was our look ahead.
And they're headed there. They opened 3.5. You texted me on Monday night. I fell asleep, and then I woke back up, and I was like, holy crap, Washington won.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, will you tweet this opener out? And I said, I'm like 30 minutes late. I'll retweet somebody else's. So now it's already bet back up. We even saw like 5. We didn't see, maybe did we see 5.5s? I missed it if we did. And now it's seeing a little bit of comeback, right?
Let's go back to Georgia. Because I think the reason, let me tell you why I think Georgia didn't make it to the playoff. Because Texas beat Alabama. Because Texas beat Alabama, they couldn't take Alabama without Texas. And because Alabama beat Georgia, they couldn't take Georgia without Alabama.
Correct.
And Michigan and Washington were undefeated. What I'm saying is if Texas doesn't beat Alabama, if they just finish 12-1, then they just take Georgia. Georgia's better than Texas, and they were both 12-1.
But do you think that Georgia, having got in losing the SEC championship prior, thought, maybe this game doesn't matter to us as much? Maybe there's like an SEC arrogance?
I don't know, but I think the door is wide open now for Michigan and Washington, and I think it's great for us as bookmakers, as casino operators, because the SEC is not invited. We might get a competitive national championship game, something we've only had the last few years when it's been 2 SEC teams. Last year's game was a joke.
I mean, Alabama had every opportunity to win that game.
Oh, I know they did.
Yet they didn't. So let's not sit over here and stroke the SEC too much, JM.
Well, I'm just saying that every time the SEC is playing, in the last like 6 years, the SEC team just blows away the other team. I'm talking about Georgia last year, obviously, Alabama against Ohio State, LSU against Clemson. I bet Clemson
yeah.
+7, by the way, in that game. I lost that one. I mean, I'm not saying
I
every
also
year,
had Clemson +7.
but
I remember.
because the SEC is out, because Georgia specifically is out, I think we get a very competitive national championship game. I hope so. Although we need Michigan pretty big. So why did we open at 3.5, which is probably too low, which is lower than our look ahead numbers? 2 reasons. We think the public is going to bet Washington. The public bet, everybody bet Washington in the Sugar Bowl. We couldn't write a bet on Texas in that game. And if you look at the Rose Bowl, everybody was on Alabama against Michigan. Michigan doesn't really play like very sexy football. It's kind of boring.
It was real sexy when they dropped the punt return, and I don't know how that didn't end up.
They don't play the kind of football that the public is drawn to the way Washington does. Washington's got this quarterback, these great receivers. They throw the ball all over the place. I think the public will bet Washington. And then number 2, we got a big liability on Washington in the futures book. So it doesn't hurt us to write a few Michigan bets right at the open because we got some pretty big exposure to the Huskies.
Yeah, I've got, let's see. So I've got Washington at 7-1. Wow. I put a dime on it.
Dime is slang for $1,000, folks.
I put a dime on it about a week and a half ago. So what my thought process is, come back with a few dimes on Michigan money line, because if what you're saying is true, everybody is going to bet Washington money line, not Washington points. Is that what you're saying? The money line might be a little cheap.
I think the public is going to bet Washington.
With the points or on the money line?
I think both. But look, I'll be honest. When the Sugar Bowl game matchup was set, if you'd asked me who I thought the public would bet, I would have said Texas. I didn't think the public was going to be all over.
I didn't think the public was on Washington. I was on Washington, and usually we're not aligned.
Well, I knew everybody was going to be on Alabama. That was obvious. But I was stunned by how much we needed Texas on Monday night. We were just overrun with Washington bets, and we had the Washington futures liability, like I said. So we'll be ready for Michigan on Monday. Michigan, we got them -4.5, 55.5. I think the Michigan's going to win.
What's your money line currently in Nevada?
-185. I think they're going to win.
Do you think I'll be able to find like a -175 by kickoff?
I don't think it's impossible because all you need is one book that's overrun with liabilities or has a future exposure like we have. I don't think it's impossible.
And I'll just be patiently waiting
but it's the same thing.
To see what I'm going to do.
We talked about this in the Alabama game. I told you that everybody would bet Alabama, and that if you saw the number push up, that meant the wise guys were on Michigan. That's exactly what happened. The public was on Alabama, but you saw the number move up anyway at the end, right? I mean, that could happen again, but only if really sharp groups are on the Wolverines.
Well, I would say that somebody already bet him -3.5. There's a reason why it moved up initially. I don't know if those were sharp groups or if it was just early line movement before you guys let people make big boy bets, but
well, you'll see probably the sharpest groups coming in a little bit later on when the limits go up all over the country.
When do limits start to go up?
Well, that depends on what operator you're talking about.
At the SuperBook.
We already have the limits up.
Oh, see?
Because it's the national championship game. The number.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? If somebody walks in on a Wednesday afternoon?
The number's the number. The number is the number. Do you want to talk about the NFL any more than we did? You don't want to laugh about that ref moment in the Cowboy game on Saturday night? Shit, on Saturday night.
Oh my God. If I had Lions money line, which I did not, or B, I was a Lions fan, I think you would have saw me just absolutely lose it. But then also Dan Campbell, who I adore, how arrogant is he? Like,
so do you think he's arrogant, or do you think he not knew that he could kick the extra point after the penalty?
Yeah, you just kicked the extra point.
Are you sure he knows that?
7-yard line.
And you're sure he knows that? You're positive? Why would he go for 2 from the 7-yard line? That's insane.
I didn't say it's not insane, but that's kind of my point. That's why I said arrogant, because I thought like, all right, like they had. Did you see the guys with the Randy Marsh meme when he's got his nuts in the wheelbarrow? Like people were like saying that was Dan Campbell, but I also am like, just kick the freaking extra point, Dan. Like, you got it on the first one, right? They won the game. Okay, obviously, we know that they won the game. The ref
Well,
blunder.
we don't know that because they were only up by 1. Dallas had a couple of timeouts. Dallas's kicker hasn't missed a field goal all year. I'm just saying it wouldn't have been
Okay,
completely.
that's fair. Sorry. We know that they scored and went up 1.
They should have done it.
And then it got moved back because they said that it was an ineligible receiver, which.
And then Micah Parsons was offsides, and then it got moved up again. And then they didn't get it the third try. Crazy game though. I mean, McCarthy left Detroit all that time on the Dallas drive, kicked the field goal to go by 7. I was amazed by how quickly Detroit went down the field to tie the game, potentially tie the game. They just
Dallas
right down.
Supposedly this great home defense.
And then what was funny too was in all the confusion of all those 2-point conversions, McCarthy called a timeout. You don't think he might have needed that if they had fallen back 21-20? He called a timeout.
It's Mike McCarthy first and foremost.
Do you think the Dallas?
There's a reason why Jerry hired him.
I'm pretty sure if the Lions had gotten the deuce to go up 21-20, Dallas may have wanted that timeout in their pocket. KIV, unbelievable. Just two coaches bumbling back and forth. Dallas wins the game. I thought the Lions got totally cheated, and it could be very significant. It might be the difference between a divisional playoff game being played in Detroit or in Dallas.
Correct.
In the second round it's a very big deal. For me as a ref guy.
And we didn't even hear from the refs, really. Like, we just got like some BS PR answer, and it was just like, deal with it. Don't you think they'd rather have Dallas have the home field advantage? Just saying.
Of course.
America's team.
They want, obviously, the NFL would like the NFC Championship game to be Dallas and San Francisco. And, it's hard. I have to say this. It's really, really hard to even picture somebody going up to San Francisco and beating the 49ers in the NFC. I know that Baltimore just did it. And I know that Cincinnati did it a few months ago when Burrow was healthy. But do you see any of those NFC contenders being able to go up there and beat the Niners? I just can't picture that. The only one I think has the stones to do it is the Rams.
Yeah, but they just said they're not playing Matthew Stafford this week.
I mean in a playoff game.
I understand, but like,
they don't care.
You know who's playing this week for the Rams? I didn't even know he was on this team. This is so hilarious.
Bennett?
No.
Bennett? Who?
Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Was like,
and actually,
I literally was like scrolling X while I was waiting on you to log in, and I was like, "What?"
Twitter. X. Yeah.
Yes, X. No dead naming.
I saw that on X. What is dead naming? I saw you X'd somebody else about that.
I died laughing. Somebody sent me this thing about dead naming it Twitter. Like, they purposely were still going to call it Twitter to mess with Elon. I thought it was funny.
I'm sure they'll get Elon good with that one. Yeah, sure.
That's the whole point. That's why it's just ridiculous. I saw a Tesla bumper sticker the other day that was like, I bought this before I knew how evil he was. What?
Let's do.
Then just sell the damn car. You got enough money to buy a Tesla, sell the damn thing.
Don't sell your Tesla stock. Don't do that to me. That's
all I got. That's the only thing that's making me money right now. That and Apple. Everything else, red.
Let's get away from this very dangerous conversation and talk about. So we already talked about the college football game. Haven't seen any of our really sharp groups on the game yet, to be honest. Probably will, but we still have 5 days to go. We're going to be rooting for Michigan. The SuperBook is going to be rooting for Michigan. Let's go to the NFL.
Can't wait. It's week 18.
This is tough. You got to really be careful this week, Kelly. Maybe.
Yeah.
Why don't you take the week off? Go do something other than gamble.
I have 6 futures outside of the Jets. So 5 futures that all have implications this weekend. Those are already bets.
My bet on the Falcons to make the playoffs could still theoretically win if they beat New Orleans and the Bucks lose to Carolina. The Falcons
win. Very, very possible.
Oh yeah, I'll be really holding my breath.
What Baker Mayfield turned into a friggin' pumpkin last weekend.
Yeah.
Panthers, they,
So I'll give you a
little bit of grit at home. Their owner just got fined a whole boatload of money. And I do like the Falcons plus 3.5 this weekend, actually.
I'm going to give you a couple. There's one that I like myself. So they bet the Falcons. They took 4.5 and 3.5, so we're down to 3. Atlanta's at New Orleans. I don't like those two coaches. I don't like either of those coaches. Just to be honest with you. So this game, I don't like this one. This game is Saturday, the early game Saturday. They took Baltimore plus 4. If you're Baltimore, don't you want the Steelers to win? If the Steelers win and the Bills lose, the Bills are out of the playoffs. If you're Baltimore, don't you want to get the Bills out of there? The Bills are the biggest threat to Baltimore in the AFC. Why would you want to help? Like, the Bills will still be alive, I think, to get in, even if they lose to Miami, unless the Steelers.
Okay, so there's a couple things here. One,
yeah,
if you watch Harbaugh in the preseason, he thinks it's like really important to win. Like, he's like that guy that's like, hey, we should win every opportunity we get, right? That's why he had that preseason record.
Yeah.
Okay. Then also, Lamar Jackson is unproven in the playoffs, essentially, right? We don't know what we're going to get out of him. He's never healthy enough and or had a one and done. So him getting 3 weeks off is a little dicey.
I think they beat the Titans in a wild card game one time.
Something like that. But that's my point. One and done. And then you also have to remember, Lamar, you need him to stay healthy. Like, I think that we see a little bit of this Ravens offense just to kind of keep things fresh. But Huntley's not much of a drop off from Lamar. I mean, maybe this year, but in years past, he hasn't been.
The Ravens should have beat the Bengals in a wild card game last year in Cincinnati with Huntley at quarterback. They should have won that game. Would have been a huge win for us. They bet the Ravens. I just don't like it. But I do like this one because this team is so loose right now. They got nothing to lose. They got everything to win. They could knock Brett and the Packers out of the playoffs. I'm talking about the Bears. We saw some sharp guys take Chicago plus 3.5. I like that.
Whoops.
I mean, the Bears are playing with house money right now. The Bears would be on a 5-game winning streak right now if it wasn't for that Browns game, which they should have won.
Yeah, Packers is my best bet this week.
The Bears blew out Atlanta on Sunday. I mentioned the Cleveland game. They've won 4 of their last 5, even with that loss when Flacco pulled some magic. I don't know. The Bears, they've already got the number 1 pick in the draft, and now they can go and they can knock their bitter rivals out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they just haven't done that in the last 4 seasons. So super easy. Just go right into Lambeau Field. Just waltz right in.
I don't think the Packers are a particularly good team this year, but
I think Jordan Love absolutely deserves a little bit more respect than he's gotten.
Well, I'm just telling you.
I know it's hard to beat a team twice.
When they were plus 3.5, the wise guys were on the Bears. We are down to 3, and I get the angle, but the Bears are just playing loose right now. So I think there's too much in Week 18 of people saying, oh, it's a must-win. Well, that doesn't mean the other team is just going to lay down.
Of course. It's a must-win for the Steelers. But you just said that they played the Ravens. I like the Steelers. I looked at them plus 3.5.
But the Ravens have more reason to rest, though. They've got everything to play. The Bears have nothing to lose here.
Except for hurting their potentially new franchise quarterback.
I mean, I guess, but that could be true of every game. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
That's why you're seeing guys like Russell Wilson getting put on the bench because it didn't matter. That's why you're seeing Carson Wentz waltzing out for the Ravens. Brock Purdy's not playing this week. Lamar Jackson shouldn't be. None of the Chiefs players are playing.
All those teams are waiting for the playoffs, though.
I know.
The Bears.
But the Bears aren't waiting for the playoffs. The last thing you'd want to do is something really stupid.
I don't know. I mean, who knows what will happen, but I don't think that's a good example. All those teams are sitting players because they got a postseason game coming up. The Bears have nothing to lose. They've got the first pick in the draft, and they can go out there and they can knock Green Bay out of the playoffs. I don't know. We'll see. Green Bay did look very good on Sunday night, although that kid for the Vikings shouldn't be playing in the NFL at quarterback. I mean, it's not their fault. I mean, there's only so many QBs you can have get hurt, apparently, unless you're Kevin Stefanski. Like, there's only so many guys you can lose at quarterback. The Vikings, I think, finally reached the number of, okay, we're down to the 4th different guy, and now we're not competitive anymore. Saturday night is an interesting game. Houston at Indianapolis. What do you think of that game?
Trying to look and see what I've even got. The line flipped on that one. I thought that was really strange. Oh, I have the Colts in a teaser. That's what I did.
I kind of like the Colts. They play well at home this season. Houston's a young team. They're a little bit banged up. That's a pretty interesting game.
I love CJ Stroud. Obviously, I think he is by far the best rookie quarterback this year. He gets Nico Collins back, right? He came back last game for a little bit. They absolutely boat raced the Titans. Colts are not some great team at home necessarily. But yeah, I did tease them. I want to hit 1.5.
I haven't seen anything sharp on the last game of the week. It's for the AFC East, the Bills, the Dolphins. Say it again. I really think if you're Baltimore, if you're Kansas City, you have to be rooting for Miami to win this game. Pittsburgh to win on Saturday. You've got.
Well, if Miami wins, doesn't Kansas City play in Miami?
No, Kansas City's the 3 seed. So if Buffalo wins, they're the 2. Miami goes to Kansas City. If Miami wins,
got it. I had it backwards.
Oh, you're fine.
Got it.
But I'm just saying, if I was one of the other AFC contenders, of course, I'm hoping that Buffalo gets knocked out this weekend, because Buffalo. I know their last 2 games weren't that impressive. They beat New England, they beat the Chargers, but we've seen their ceiling. They should have won at Philadelphia. They did win at Kansas City. They crushed Miami earlier in the year at home. They crushed Dallas a couple weeks ago at home. They have a really high ceiling. They could go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. I don't know that anybody else in the AFC could.
You think that I don't know. I don't know if I trust them.
I don't think Kansas City can.
What would you make that line? Ravens minus 4.5?
Yeah, 4 probably.
Okay.
Baltimore's power rating is Baltimore was -3 on Sunday against Miami, and Buffalo's better than Miami, so maybe even 4 is high. But Baltimore's power rating just keeps going up, up, up as they kick everybody's ass. Although remember, Miami is very banged up right now, and they got even more.
Yeah, I know. I'm really kind of mad at myself. I walked into the Hard Rock down here and I said, okay, I'm gonna bet plus 220. 220 on the Bills, and I walked up to the counter like, oh, sorry, that's plus 190. I'm like, do I want to hedge? Kind of wishing maybe I did now.
Yeah, just a very banged up Miami team. They're limping to the finish.
Did you see Tyreek Hill limping out in front of his house in a walking boot because his house caught on fire?
And let's also keep in mind, you got to think that this is going to be mostly Bills fans in Miami on Sunday night. The Bills Mafia travels, man. You don't think so? Well, you're a native Floridian now. You probably.
I don't think mostly. This isn't SoFi Stadium. I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if it was half, but that's not most. Not 70%.
You got to agree with me though. I know you've got Baltimore futures.
I've got Baltimore futures. I've got Dolphins futures.
You've got to be hoping that Buffalo doesn't see next weekend. Buffalo is dangerous. They have a high.
I can't wait to see how I lose this Ravens 20-1 bet. Can't wait. It's going to be just epic.
Well, they'd be a dog to the 49ers in the Super Bowl. What do you somebody asked me this about you today. I think it was Jay. It was Jay Cornigan. So you're coming here for the Super Bowl, is that correct?
Yes.
What are you going to do during the game itself? Are you going to go to the game?
You're going to get me in the SuperBook suite. Pretty sure it's in my contract.
No, we don't have the suite. We just have seats. Yeah, we just have tickets to the game.
I've sat in the suite for USA Mexico.
We have a suite for a lot of events. We don't have it for the Super Bowl. Yeah. You thought you were going to sit in our suite? Even if we had.
And eat the cute little football-shaped cookies and drink all of the refreshments with Ariel Epstein.
Even if we had the suite, I wouldn't get you and Ariel in. That's for all the big wigs. That's for all the big.
So you want it to be a giant sausage fest? That's why you should invite us.
What does that mean?
Guys would actually enjoy talking to us because we could talk about the game.
Our general manager is a female. What do you mean sausage fest?
I'm talking about the clients.
Our casino, our hotel vice president is a female.
Yeah, but you're missing the point.
I don't appreciate you accusing us of a lack of diversity. Let's go. Let's get out of this. Let's go to the mailbag.
It's way too early to go to the mailbag. All you saw was Falcons, Ravens, Bears as sharp bets. That's it.
This is a tough week. You got to be careful this week.
This week sucks.
Remember, I had a hell of a time last year because you remember last year I was in like the top 30 in Circa, and it was hard to come up with 5 plays. Remember, I got fucked that last year. I should have gone 5-0-0. Remember that? Because I had Indianapolis against Houston, and they threw that long touchdown pass to win the game and cost themselves the number 1 pick. Although that actually worked out fine for Houston, so whatever. And then I had your team, Denver, -3. They were up by 11. They forced a punt. The kid muffed the punt. The Chargers recovered it, scored a touchdown, went for 2.
God, I hate that team so much.
And lost by 3. So I ended up going 3-1-1. I should have gone 5-0-0, honestly. That cost me a lot of money. But yeah, but week 18 is tough. You really gotta like look under every rock here because
I just realized I'm still on the SuperBook page. I was actually not as a winner, as a former proxy owner. I'm actually looking at the standings right now because I want to see what's week 16 to 18 look like, since I totally thought I did well, but obviously not. Nope. Not good. Not good. Not going to win it. Went 2-3 last week. It's not going to get it done. Did I lose John Murray? Okay, great.
All right. Phone dropped. Sorry. All right. Well, I don't know what else you want me to do other than go to the mailbag. Sorry.
Why are you the way that you are?
I didn't hear what you said. My phone dropped.
Nothing. I said nothing. In fact, it was not important whatsoever. Mailbag was really weak this week. Really weak.
Well, people are bored. People are bored.
They're sick of our shit. I'll have to look at our views. You know what? I need to ask. We need people to review. We need 5 stars and like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel while you're at it. If you're watching there, thank you. The end. John Murray. Boxing slave. Whoa, that's kind of a weird. That's kind of a weird X.
Skip the question. I don't like that.
First of all, headwear for KIV on a weekly basis. My question is, should Westgate Murray his favorite league, the NFL, implement the KBO rule regarding refs, sending them down to the farm system when deserving? Ooh.
So this guy, he means headgear, I think, right?
I don't know.
Probably
it wasn't headgear.
I don't,
it was headphones.
Isn't headgear like, well, oh, yeah, it was
headphones. When you had like the braces in the 70s. Yeah, that was headgear.
I don't think they can do that because don't all the NFL referees have other jobs? Like, I don't think this is their, like, this isn't their.
Have you heard about this? I was told this on another show that I'm a guest on. There's a referee shortage because like all the old guy referees retired during COVID, and now we just don't have capable referees. And
are you saying that we had
like at the high school level
before COVID?
No, we didn't. But it's more like super experienced referees, I guess.
I'm going to answer at Boxing Slave's question. Yes, I think they should do it because I like relegation. I'm a big English Premier League fan. I'm a big fan of relegating the losing teams. I think the NFL should relegate the bottom teams. Like, what? Why do the Panthers deserve to be in the NFL next year? For what?
Well, where are they going to go? The CFL?
I don't know. But in English Premier League soccer, there's a relegation system. I like it. It's a real punishment instead of allowing the team to get back up to being good by getting a quarterback. By the way, no congratulations from you. Liverpool is in first place.
Yeah, no idea. This is another weird X at Chief of Teeth. The show is awesome, and I love John teasing Kelly almost as much as I love his picks. Any chance we can get more of both?
What does that mean? Why is picks in quotes? Did our guys put that in, or did?
I don't know, but that Colts pick was mine last week. I have to take the L for that, not John Murray. He copied me.
Well, that's not really true, but
Braxton Dart on X says, we see any pods that are in person rather on Zoom. First of all, Braxton, this is not Zoom. This is StreamYard. Second of all, yes, we're going to do a show when I'm there for Super Bowl.
Why didn't we answer Chief of Teeth's question? I don't think it's possible for me to tease Kelly any more than I do, Chief of Teeth. Yeah, we'll do a
And
show.
half of them go above my head, so I don't even know what you're
The
saying.
time. Well, I made a reference to. I had lunch with Jay Cornegay, and we had ribs, and then I'm doing this, and I made a ribs. I had ribs for lunch reference. That's Anchorman. But
What about the other reference that you made before we started the show about the SNL?
Yeah, so there's a great SNL skit. I can't even get through it. Where
Okay.
Chris Farley and Adam Sandler are house sitting. And
well, but I didn't get the reference that you were using it for. That's where you confused me because I hadn't seen the skit. And then you tried to explain it to me and I was still lost.
We were born in the same year. How could you not have seen the Farley Sandler, the house sitting one, Phil Hartman voiceover? It's phenomenal. All right.
I have seen. Okay.
We're off the track here.
First of all, I had to work Saturday nights during college, unlike you. So no, I didn't have time to sit around and
1992 college.
Do you think I remember 1992?
But you can just see the clip on YouTube. What year?
Okay, you send me the clip on YouTube. Thank you.
Farley died when we were like 13. College.
Did he? Were we that young?
Yeah, I remember. I
remember the Matt when he played the Matt guy. Matt I don't remember what his last name was. Foley. Yes. And you live in a van down by the river.
I was a freshman at Gonzaga College High School in my history class when I heard Farley died. Fuck. We will do an in-person pod.
How do you know where you were? I remember it happening, but I have no idea where I was.
Oh, I remember that. We'll do an in-person pod for the Ref Bowl. Kelly's here. Your friend is coming in, right? Ariel Epstein.
Yes, we will be there. I think I get in like late Tuesday night. I'm going to make a pit stop in Manhattan, Kansas for K-State KU on Monday night.
Nice.
So if you just take like a halfway there and then come the other half. So I will be there.
Why don't you invite Andy Samuelson to that? Andy Samuelson. He's a big KU
Why
fan.
would I do that?
He's a big Kansas fan.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Well, he might have a segment on the show. Sandman.
No, he will not.
All right. Well, yeah, we will. The Ref Bowl weekend. Is Ariel going to be on the show?
I guess we can ask her.
Why don't you guys want to film some content with Ellie that week? Yeah, she's cute, man. Cute.
She is cute. She did not like our content the last time. She was like
kidnapped. But she was a baby though.
You shouldn't leave your house unlocked.
She was a baby back then.
Ligma 32 on X says, how often are sharps taking advantage of CLV? Meaning they get the best odds or the number. Because, you totally mushed my nice, beautiful Mizzou, Ohio State had plus on both. And you said, KV, you got Ohio State +2. You already won. Yeah, right.
Did you watch the game?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. I told you not to watch. They do. So the better players will usually beat the closing number, but not always. Not always. I mean, we've had.
I went, just so you know, in my negative CLV bets this year in the bowl season, I went a stunning 4-0. And my CLV bets, I went 3-9.
Oh, bullshit. 3-9.
3-9. I will send it to you.
I want to see that. I want to see a spreadsheet. I don't believe you.
You ready?
No, not right now. 3-9. You went 3-9.
3-9 in CLV.
Get out of here.
Yep.
I don't believe you, man.
K-State laid 3.5 close to winner. I knew I was golden. I was like, who cares? Every time the line went against me, no problem. Line agreed with me. Well, I'm in deep shit.
Booking the bowl games is tough. It really is. I mean, we barely
What do you
lost.
think we should do with the bowl games?
Well, the good thing is this was the last year like this. Next year we have a college football playoff.
Yeah, but we're still gonna have 30 shitty bowl games.
Yeah,
we're gonna have 12 teams in the playoffs, but that's not enough. What are we gonna do with the other? There's gonna be at least 15 bowl games.
But we're gonna have 11 playoff games. 11 games. We're gonna get all kinds of good volume, going up from 3 to 11.
But what do you think we should do? Because like the Pop-Tart Bowl, which I made fun of all year long, and I was so happy K-State got the Pop-Tart Bowl just for comedic relief. Because if you're not going to win a national championship or at least a Big 12 championship, like you might as well win a Pop-Tart Bowl. And the reason why it did so well is because it was hilarious. The Pop-Tart kid deserves a raise. The Cheez-It kid tried to do the same thing, and I was like, no, you can't do that, Mr. Cheez-It guy. And also the game sucked because Iowa just has Brian Ferentz as their offensive coordinator. Anyway, people want to be entertained. People want to leave Kansas in the middle of winter and go someplace somewhat warm. Like half of these bowl games are garbage, not only because of the matchups, because of the opt-outs, because of the geographic location, because of all of the other things. Like we need to fix them. What are we going to do to fix them?
People in Kansas do want to move around. That's why I was hoping you could invite Andy Samuelson to go to the game with you to leave Wichita. Go to.
Are you going to answer my question?
I don't. I think it's too late. I think that what they've done can't be undone. Now with the transfer portal the way it is, the NIL the way it is.
So you don't think we can move the transfer portal to today?
And what would that be?
Just after the New Year's Day games?
But the players
for business.
The players would still know they were going to transfer, wouldn't they? And what would they like if I knew I was transferring to Kansas State? Would I play in my bowl game for Georgia or whatever?
If it made your stock go up and you showed out and proved that you deserved $80,000 a year in NIL money or something, I don't know.
Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah, that would be good. I mean, it's a mess. Well, the really upper echelon players like Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, those guys are never going to play in the bowls again.
Right, and they haven't for years. Those types of guys have opted out for years.
Pretty much ever since.
But the entire Florida State team opted out, except they didn't. They had just as many opt-outs and injuries as Georgia. They just mentally opted out.
Yeah, and there's not much you can do about that. But actually, Alabama did play Bryce Young and Will Anderson against Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl last year. The problem is that is considered the outlier. That's the problem. That was like shocking. I mean, the Sugar Bowl.
It sucked. K-State was like a 4-point underdog, and all of a sudden I was in St. Croix and I went online and I was like, oh shit. And then, it was like K-State looked really good, and then it was like an air raid for like 45 seconds, and then K-State looked good, and then it was just over.
Well, you're the one that says the SEC sucks. You want to do the last question?
I didn't say the SEC sucked. I said that there is a lack of parity within that conference. That's why Brian Kelly is going to go to Michigan because he couldn't cut it. That's why Jimbo Fisher is gone. That's why the next 17 coaches at Texas A&M are going to hate their lives because the oil money is just going to keep siphoning through them every 2 to 3 years when they don't win a national championship.
That was a blown opportunity for Steve Sarkisian. I mean, I respect Washington, but all he had to do was beat Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game and then Washington in the semifinal to get to a national championship game. He's probably not going to have another road like that in the SEC. Just saying. I don't think it's ever going to be that easy again. Doesn't mean he can't get there, but he's probably going to have to do it the hard way.
I'm here for it. Okay, Ligma, we already answered. They get the best of the number all the time.
No, they don't.
They never lay bad numbers.
I didn't say that. I said it does move against them sometimes.
I'm teasing. At Vince in PGH, which is short for Pittsburgh, I've learned. How or does the book adjust betting limits for games with a lot of uncertainty like bowl games or off-the-wall games like low major college basketball? Mid-major? He means mid-major college basketball compared to mainstream events like the NFL.
It makes the most sense to take the biggest limits on things where the market is the best. NFL sides, college football playoff, college football championship. Careful with these bowl games. A lot of these lines moved a ton. I saw a lot of books on X that used to be called Twitter until Elon Musk bought it, renamed it X, complaining about how much money they were going to lose on Georgia in the Orange Bowl. That line.
That line. I said, if you like Georgia, bet it now at 13.5. It didn't matter. If you live bet Georgia, you made money. You live bet Georgia minus 49.5, you made money.
You got to be careful when you don't know. He used the word uncertainty. It's a good word. I actually talked to some of our guys today, our prop guys, and I told them I wanted them to be careful with the same game parlay stuff this weekend in the NFL because of the players potentially only playing a quarter, not playing at all. I told them I was going to be irate if they put up a bunch of stuff and then went home.
Irate.
If they put up a bunch of same game parlays not knowing who's playing, who's not, and they get us nailed. You got to be careful this week. We don't know. There's more players that are going to opt out of these Week 18 games than already have. So I think you got to be careful as a bookie. You got to be careful as a bettor, and you can wait one more week. Actually, you only have to wait till Monday. Monday night, both those teams are going to try, and I'm pretty sure next week in the wild card round, everybody is going to be on their best behavior. KIV.
Best behavior? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's all I got, John Murray.
Have fun. Enjoy the national championship game. Go Blue.
No.